Welcome, everybody, to the Horror Movie Podcast. I am Luke, and I'm joined by
Anna.
And today's a little bit of a different episode because you're going to get 2 episodes in a row.
Yay.
2. Count them 2. 1, 2. That's 1 today and 1 a week from today. That's how 2 episodes work. So today's going to be just a little different. We're going to kind of recap what we've watched this year in terms of horror. There's quite a bit of stuff that I've watched that we haven't talked about yet, because I've watched a lot of stuff recently.
Apparently.
And then we'll kind of talk about what's upcoming for the year that we're really excited for. So it might be a shorter one. It might not be. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm shaking in my boots.
And on top of that, we have an update on our little wager.
Yeah.
So we made a wager that on who would watch more horror movies this year, right? So we're going to give you the total from both of us and see where we're at.
Yeah.
So do you think you've watched more?
No.
I don't think so either.
Whoa.
I think
Whoa.
I think I'm ahead.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I've watched a lot of movies in the past week. I think you were ahead until this month. I've watched a bunch of movies this month.
No, I think I've always been a bit behind. I think I started to get ahead at the beginning of this month, but
Interesting.
But
Well,
then fell behind.
Let's see. So I'll go through my. Do you have the actual dates of when you've watched
No.
stuff? Okay. Well, never mind. There goes that idea.
Sorry.
So I guess I'll just go through my list and then we'll go through your list.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I've watched The Thing.
We shouldn't reveal our number until both of us have gone. Like how many total?
That's fine.
Okay.
So
Do you know how many total you've watched?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've watched The Thing. I've watched Friday the 13th, Scream, Megan, Friday the 13th Part 2, Dead Snow, Frozen, The Lodge, Wolf of Snow Hollow, Misery, Gerald's Game, The Whale, Till Death, Infinity Pool. That was all January.
The
For
Whale.
me. Oh, that's lol, whoops. So this is, I'm just looking at my letterbox, so I have everything that I watched in here, and I just skipped About Time and went right to The Whale instead of skipping
I was like, that's
The
cheating.
Whale is kind of scary.
It was very anxiety-inducing, but it does not count.
Yes, you're right, and that is not a part of my count.
Good.
So that's all just January for me, and then February was only horror, and it was really light. It's actually all just what we did the podcast on.
Okay.
So it's all the Valentine's Day ones and both Suspirias. So Happy Death Day.
I might
Down.
have been ahead of you then.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think you were. My Bloody Valentine, both of them, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and then both Suspirias. And then in March we have all 5 Screams. Well, all 6 Screams actually. Sick, Psycho, Prom Night, Psycho 2, Psycho 3, Fall, both Escape Rooms, You're Next, Raw, and Evil Dead.
Okay. Interesting.
There's, let's see. So I went on this little, just horror kick this past month. I mean, obviously I watched all the Scream movies, but once I watched Psycho, I just started watching just a bunch of horror movies. So I watched Psycho and then Prom Night, and then we watched Psycho 2 and 3. Spoiler alert, we're talking about Psycho next week.
What?
And then I just wanted, there's a bunch of bad horror I've wanted to watch that I haven't gotten the chance to, like both the Escape Room movies, Fall. I wanted Fall to be good. I think it could have, and I just kind of went on this little horror binge. It was actually a lot of fun. Most of the horror movies I've watched since we started the podcast have been for the podcast.
Yeah.
So just watching stuff for the sake of watching it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was so nice, wasn't it? I felt like every time I was like, I don't have to watch a movie. I can just watch whatever I want.
Yeah.
I watch horror or I watch a children's movie.
I mean, I felt that way. Scooby-Doo's not on here. We also watched Scooby-Doo.
Scoob. Not Scoob, but
on Zombie Island.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
But most of the stuff that I've watched that wasn't for the podcast has not been horror related.
Mhm.
So watching a bunch of horror, not
Yeah.
specifically to talk about on the podcast, was really
Yeah.
nice. It was actually quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
Not that I don't enjoy watching movies for the podcast.
Whoa. I'm finding a new co-host, apparently.
But I mean, you know what I mean.
It's like work.
It almost feels like work.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's like crunch time
Yeah.
and you're like, we're supposed to talk about a whole franchise on Tuesday and it's Saturday.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched any of it. So there goes my next 3 days,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
But I enjoyed Fall in both escape rooms,
Mhm.
but what's a bummer about all three of those movies actually is all three of them had an opportunity to be good.
Yeah.
They actually all have decent casts, which is typically not what you expect from the lower budget horror movies. And honestly, I don't even know if these were low budget. I mean, Fall kind of seems low budget, but any movie that takes place in one area to me seems low budget. Which isn't necessarily true, but more of like maybe that's just what they were going for, you know? But both escape rooms actually have a bunch of different sets, and because it's all different escape rooms and stuff. But yeah, they're fine. I give all of them 2.5 stars.
Okay.
Or actually, I gave the second escape room 1.5. Fall really bummed me out though.
Really?
Yeah, I
want to see that
really
movie.
into it for a while, and there was just like several things in the movie that I think they just totally went in the wrong direction.
Really?
Yeah, which was a bummer because I really enjoyed most of the movie, but there's maybe 20% of the movie that is really, really bad, and that just kills the whole thing for me.
I know so many spoilers about that movie.
Really?
And all of them I like, so I really want to see it.
The twist?
I think so. I know a twist.
Spoiler alert for Fall. Skip ahead 30 seconds. What do you know?
That she's like imagining that the friend's alive.
Yes.
That's the twist that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, for instance, so one of the things about bad horror is that sometimes I have to do something else while I'm watching them to like either stay awake or but then that takes me away from the movie and I'm not paying attention as much. So some of the movies that I miss twists in most often is bad horror because I'm not paying attention. And as soon as they revealed the twist, I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I was like, this thing. I was like, I literally could have called that if I was just paying attention to this movie.
Yeah. If you were actually thinking about it.
Yeah. And I think specifically with Fall, there's just quite a few things that I feel like are just dumb decisions. And from people who shouldn't be making dumb decisions.
Oh, okay.
Like both of the girls that go and climb.
Aren't they like
this
experts
tower,
in?
I don't know how. I don't know what their expertise level is, but they've done this a lot.
Yeah.
And there's some fairly simple safety measures, like telling somebody what you're doing.
Yeah.
That they just don't do in this movie.
Do they mention it?
No, they don't mention
That's
that.
weird.
Like they at one point. One of the characters' dads is looking for them, is looking for his daughter and doesn't know where she is. And it's like, maybe just a quick text like, hey, Dad, I'm going to go climb this tower and it should be safe. But if you don't hear back from me, like maybe call 911.
Yeah.
You know? like literally as simple as that would have completely changed the movie.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
But also they wouldn't have had a movie if that happened.
Right.
You know?
Of course.
So
yes.
There's just some things about it. Also, you know, maybe this is me talking from like not an experienced climber, but if you're going to climb a 2,000-foot tower, I'm not climbing down. I'm base jumping off of it.
I have no idea.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, no, I mean, you can climb down.
Yeah.
But it's just a ladder. It's a 2,000-foot ladder climb.
Right.
Climbing down ladders is so much worse than going up them. Going up ladders is fairly simple.
Interesting.
But as someone who's climbed many ladders,
I think it's hard for both for different reasons.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree with that. But I feel like climbing down ladders is just more difficult in general.
You have to trust the process more.
And or you have to stare down the whole time.
True.
You know? So like, I don't know. Not that I'm an expert climber or an expert base jumper. Never base jumped in my life. But hey, I have climbed ladders. And I'm just saying, if I had the option to base jump off of the tower, that is what I would have done.
Are you afraid of ladders? Is this a phobia that we've just uncovered?
Define afraid of ladders.
You have a fear of ladders.
I guess. It's not so bad that I can't get on a ladder.
Out of my back pocket.
Don't. No, like so when I worked for Dish Network, I was on ladders all the time.
Dish Network.
And there was many a time where I did not want to be on that ladder, but it wasn't like so bad. Pretty much so I'd like set up the ladder, do all the safety measures, make sure it's set up right, and be like, I don't want to do this, and I would just go up the ladder.
Really?
Mean, because
sad.
So ladders are, for the record, are actually very scary.
Yeah.
Go look up how many people die falling off ladders every year.
Or don't actually.
It is a shocking amount.
Yeah. Don't look that up because then you'll never go on a ladder again.
Even as simple as falling off like the third or fourth rung will kill you.
Yeah.
And it happens regularly to people who are just either not following proper ladder safety. Yeah. Ladders are one of those things that are incredibly dangerous, and you use like most people just have a ladder, you know? And I feel like there needs to be some more training involved with these things because they're actually super dangerous.
You have to get a ladder license.
No, not like that. Like I don't know. Like,
license to ladder.
When dad pulls the ladder out, be like teach child how to use it properly. I don't know. Anyways, ladders.
Yeah.
There's a big one in fall.
Oh,
it's an okay movie.
Yeah.
I will say it is, if you are scared of heights at all, it will like have you like throughout.
Well, I'll be pooping my pants then because I'm very scared of heights.
So yeah, I mean it's a bummer. I think it could have been a lot better than it was, but it was an enjoyable movie.
I'm scared of heights. You're scared of ladders. This movie's our worst fear. Big ladder equals big height.
Yep, I guess that's true.
Okay, my turn?
Yeah. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else I specifically want to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, Prom Night.
Oh.
Prom Night was disappointing.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that movie.
It's always like talked about in high regard. It's mentioned in the first Scream movie. Randy talks about Prom Night.
Yes. Who's in
it?
Do you know?
I was watching an interview with somebody. I think it was Jenna Ortega, and she mentioned that Prom Night is one of her favorites.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And I was like,
Is it a slasher? I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I think one of the things that Prom Night suffers from is the fact that I didn't watch it when it came out. Because some of the classic horror
2010?
movies.
Oh
no,
not classic.
It was 1980.
Oh wow, yeah, that's.
So some of the like classic horror movies. This is how I feel about Halloween. I feel like part of the reason they were so good for their time, or so good when they came out, was because it hadn't been done before.
Yeah.
But everything in Halloween and Prom Night I've seen a million times before, and I've seen it done worse, and I've seen it done better. So it's like there's not really much there. And I think that really hurt the movie for me. I think if I was taking someone who had never seen horror before, I would introduce them to a lot of these earlier movies quicker. And I actually recommended that to somebody. One of my coworkers is a newer horror fan, started him out with Scream, and he loved Scream. We just went and saw Scream 6 this past week. And I was talking to him and his brother both. Neither of them had really watched much horror. And I was like, I would recommend Psycho and Halloween like quickly. Like watch those before you really delve into the genre. Because I think if you watch those before you've seen a lot of horror, you'll enjoy them a lot more. That was
good advice.
Yeah, it's what I do.
It's what I do.
I'm pretty good at advice, especially when it comes to movies. I mean, come on. I'm one of those people that instead of a personality, I have a letterbox account.
Ooh. Ouch. So true.
Oh, and I watched Raw.
Yeah.
I said that, but Raw.
Yeah.
Don't
Rah-rah!
ever watch that movie.
Why? Is there a lot
you
of vomiting?
will not like that movie.
Is there a lot of bad food in it?
Yes. I don't know. I think there is vomiting in it.
Vomiting and food going bad is like that's
There's
my
not
thing.
food
Like,
going bad, but there's a lot of like eating disgusting things like humans and raw meat and stuff like that.
The raw meat thing is what will get me.
Yeah.
For some reason, the cannibalism doesn't sound like it'll. I don't know why, but the raw meat thing will.
Yeah, I've always
heard. Because
that's
like something that could happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna eat a person.
Eating somebody?
Listen.
Excuse me?
No, it's scary because it could happen. Listen.
Yeah, okay.
Pause. I know I'm not going to eat someone, but I could eat raw meat at some point in my life.
I see.
So it's scary.
Well, this is intentionally eating raw food.
Ew.
Which you're not going to do either.
I know, but that's still.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I don't think you would enjoy this movie.
Yeah. I'll still watch it though.
I've always heard Raw was a great movie if you could put up with what's in it. Mm-hmm. And nothing in it really bothered me that much. I mean, it's gross. Of course,
right?
But it's not. It doesn't like make my stomach.
Isn't this a newer movie?
It came out in 2016. So yeah, new-ish. It's almost 8 years old at this point.
Oh, ew, ew.
2016 was a long time ago.
Ew.
I wasn't married in 2016.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's how long ago that was. So, anyways, Raw. I always heard it was really great if you could get through what's in it. And it was fine. Like I gave it a 3. It's just kind of
that's good.
It's a French movie, I think.
Oh yes, I know that.
It is a foreign film. And as I've stated, I don't not like foreign films. It's just they're hard. I'm a slow reader, so sometimes it's hard for me to keep up with what's going on. Yeah. I am for sure getting better at it. Since starting the podcast, I've watched a lot more foreign stuff.
You're crushing it.
Specifically in our Christmas horror episode. Yeah. We watched a lot of foreign horror.
2, didn't we? 2 or 3?
3, something like. Okay, 3 is a lot for me.
A lot.
Anyways, that's what I've watched this year.
Good job.
If you were counting, you would know.
I haven't counted. I wasn't counting. I was intentionally not counting. Right. Don't say the number.
I'm not gonna say the number.
Okay. My list.
Let's hear it.
Friday the 13th, Scream, The Thing, Megan, The Forest, Unfriended, The Lodge, Frozen, Friday the 13th Part 2, Dead Snow, Gerald's Game, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, Misery, Till Death, Infinity Pool.
So that was January, probably, right? Did you watch anything after Infinity
My
Pool?
Bloody Valentine.
So that's February.
Yeah. No, the first My Bloody Valentine I watched in January.
Oh, in January? Okay.
Yeah. My Bloody Valentine, 2009. Happy Death Day, Picnic at Hanging Rock, Suspiria 2018, Suspiria 1977. I Know What You Did Last Summer, It, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream 5, Scream 6, Psycho 1960, Psycho 2, 1922, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I'll save that for the end. The Evil Dead, Psycho 3, Psycho 1998, It Chapter 2, and last but not least, Nope.
Oh, you finally watched Nope. Yeah. What did you rate it?
I think I gave it 3.5.
What did you think?
Or 4. It was good. It made me uncomfortable. There's this one scene. Do you want to hear about it?
Not particularly.
Why?
Spoilers.
Fine.
I'll watch it. Eventually.
Fine. There's this one scene that's really upsetting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've rewatched a lot more stuff than I have this year.
Have I?
Yeah, like both It movies.
But that's just because I've watched both of them. I mean, I watched the first one like 3 times this year already.
Oh my god.
I love those movies. And you're wearing the hat.
I am. I'm wearing my Pennywise hat. I guess I should show the camera. You can see it. My Pennywise hat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
How many do you think I've watched? Oh, wait. Hold up. I didn't count Scooby-Doo. We're counting Scooby-Doo, right?
Yes, of course we are. How many do I think?
Yeah.
40.
I think you're at 38.
Okay.
How many do you have?
You go first.
43.
Wow, I'm at 38. Good job.
Look at me.
You slid. You saw my number.
I didn't see it, I promise.
But I've also watched
a book.
Watched a book.
Watched a book. You watched a book?
When we really come down to it, isn't that what we're doing? We're looking at something, so we're watching it.
No.
I'm in the process of reading another book right now that are horror. The book I've already read is The Mist by Stephen King. I finally finished it. All it took was 3 months. It's like 190 pages or something like that.
How was it?
It's good.
Was it better than the movie?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really?
The movie ending is like vastly different than the book. Yeah.
Which ending do you like better?
The movie ending.
Really?
Yeah.
But the book is better?
The book basically is like, yeah. The end of the book is basically like you get to decide what happens. I'm not telling you.
Oh.
In fact, that is what it is. It's not basically like that. That is what it is. And
How do you feel about that?
In this context, I feel good about it because it's this guy that's like basically writing a letter. And at the end of the book, he's like, I don't know what's going to happen. So you get to guess what happens.
Sure.
And that's it. But in other contexts, I really don't like it.
Yeah.
Especially in books. In movies, open-ended, whatever, can be done correctly. But I feel like in books, it's so much rarer that it's done well. But like this wasn't upsetting to me. It was a shorter book, so it was like it wasn't like 800 pages. And at the end, the guy's like, this is a letter I'm writing. And because then you'd be like, you wrote 800 pages? What? That doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about horror this year?
Yeah, horror this year?
About what you've watched.
I liked pretty much every single thing. I cannot believe you've watched more than me.
It sounds like you might have watched more movies than I have because you've said you've watched it 3 times.
Oh.
But it only counts if you've watched it once.
I see what you're saying.
So
I will say I think I've watched more things that are new to me than you have watched that are new to you this year. I don't know if that's true. Really?
I've watched almost everything I've watched has been new to me.
Oh, seriously?
The only thing I've rewatched this year was the Scream franchise.
No.
Pretty much.
And Friday the 13th.
The first Friday the 13th. Yeah. I hadn't seen the second one.
And My Bloody Valentine. And
okay, yeah, that's true. But
Gerald's Game.
I hadn't watched.
And Dead Snow.
I hadn't seen Dead Snow.
Oh.
I had seen Till Death.
And
it's probably like I've probably done like a third rewatch of what I watched has been rewatch.
Same actually.
But I've watched a bunch of stuff I've never seen before. You're Next, I have never seen before. Came out in 2011. It was one of those movies that I thought, like when I saw the trailers for it, I wanted to see it and I just never did. And I was actually pretty impressed. Good. It's, as far as horror is concerned, 3 stars is pretty solid.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I gave it. It has one of the toughest final girls, or I guess I don't know what the right word for it is. The main character in it, who is a final girl, is great in this movie. Eventually, if we ever talk about final girls in general, she'll definitely have to be in the conversation because she's super impressive. I was surprised. I was pretty impressed with the actress, so I went to look and see what else she had done, and she hasn't done almost anything.
Really?
She's done like a few other things, but she only had like 10 movies on her IMDb, which was like Your Next wasn't massive, but I feel like it was big enough to get her role. So I don't know, maybe she decided not to act or do other things, but I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, that's a good one. I would put that on the list too.
Yeah. I have a list. I started making a list of movies I want to watch this year. Horror movies I want to watch this year. So I have a lot on the list so far.
I'm kind of impressed that I've watched 43 horror movies.
I know. How many? Do you remember your total last year? Or for how many you watched last year?
Well, because I did the 31 and 31, I watched quite a few. Because we talked about that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
My total for last year?
I think I was in like the 50s. The entire year.
My total for last year was 44.
44, yeah.
And I am
Well,
at 38 right now.
a friend of mine watched 100 movies in a year a few years ago, and I was like, oh, shoot, like, that's so many movies. Like, that would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll try and do that this year.
100 movies of just whatever
100 movies, just in general.
Gosh, yeah.
And I was like, and then I got like 3-4 months in, and I had only seen like 10 movies, and I was like, yeah, this isn't going to happen.
Wow.
I'm going to watch 100 horror movies this year, like significantly more than that. Because we're planning on doing 31 and 31 in October this year. So if I don't watch another horror movie, October alone will put me at 74.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to watch other stuff, as we're going to talk about in a second.
Right.
There's at least 10 more horror movies that are coming out this year alone that I'm excited for. And we have all sorts of other podcast topics to talk about this year, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's that I'm excited for.
Yes, I think we've got a pretty solid lineup over the next few months.
We do. But enough about that. Let's
get
on to what we're excited about.
Let's get into what's coming out this year. So, April 7th, we have The Pope's Exorcist. This is coming out really soon.
I don't know anything about this movie.
I
know that you're looking forward to it.
The only reason I'm actually looking forward to this is because Russell Crowe stars in it.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So, and it sounds like it's based on a true story. Like it's based on a specific. Here, let me look up exactly how it was.
Incident.
No, a specific person. It follows like a guy's life, is what it sounds like.
Wow, interesting.
Which obviously is who Russell Crowe plays. But it is about Father Gabriel Amorth, chief exorcist for the Vatican. So he was the chief exorcist for the Vatican.
Wow.
I don't know
like
how
he's
long.
A real guy.
Oh, a detailed portrait of a priest who performed more than 100,000 exorcisms in his lifetime. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean it is an exorcism movie, but for one, Russell Crowe's in it, and he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
And for two, it seems like this might not just be your classic like one family haunted.
Yeah.
Like we might follow him over a bunch of different things. So. It sounds interesting. I'm
not one for exorcism movies or like demonic things.
Yeah.
So I probably won't enjoy it as much as you, but I will watch it.
Have you seen The Conjuring?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen the second?
Yeah.
Have you seen the third?
Isn't that Annabelle?
No, it's there's 4 Conjuring movies.
Ooh.
Oh wait, no, there's 3. There's Conjuring 1 and 2, and then Conjuring 3 came out a year or 2 ago.
Oh, I haven't.
And it was,
no, I didn't know that.
I forget what it's called. But then there's also an Annabelle movie that is kind of a Conjuring movie.
Yeah.
It's about their daughter, and they're in it, but for a very short amount of time. So that's why I was thinking there was 4, but
I see. Because I whenever people talk about Conjuring movies, they always include that one.
Right, yeah, because they're all the same universe.
Right. And I haven't seen any Annabelle movies. So
the first Annabelle which I haven't seen in a long time, but I hated that movie.
Really?
Yeah, the other Annabelle movies are actually really good.
Okay.
Annabelle Creation is really good. I like that one a lot. And then Annabelle Comes Home was fine. I think I give it 3 stars. So it was like just fine.
Yeah.
What do we have next? Here, let's switch off through this list.
Renfield is coming out April 14th.
I'm so excited for this movie.
I'm so excited. The actor guy and Nicolas Cage. What's the other guy's name? I don't remember. But I love him. He's in Warm Bodies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He is so good. I love him.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage is playing Dracula.
That is the funniest thing.
I'm so excited for this movie.
It's going to be
This
good.
definitely seems more horror comedy than
horror.
Oh,
100%, yeah.
Horror comedy, although it is the worst horror genre, it does have some gems in there.
And I'm hoping this is going to be one.
I hope so too. I mean,
I will do everything.
How could it not?
I will delusionally watch this movie. Like make myself delusional to the point where I like it. You know, like I need to like this movie. I will gaslight myself into liking this movie.
And then a week after, we have 3 horror movies coming out on April 21st.
Good.
We're getting Evil Dead Rise, which I am very excited for. and I don't want to talk about Evil Dead too much, but I literally just watched this movie yesterday.
Yeah.
And I
Same,
actually
think.
I liked it. It's kind of slow, but
yeah, I see what you mean. It's only like, is it an hour and a half long or is it 2 hours?
Yeah, no, it's less than an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, it's
like
an hour and 20. Yeah.
And it's a little slow, but I think the worst parts about this movie are the fact that it was 1980 and some of the effects were pretty good. They considering when it came out, I would agree.
They made me I was grossed out.
They just kind of felt like your hometown haunted house to me. Some of them especially, like at one point a guy gets stabbed and it's just a fountain.
Oh yeah, well no, he doesn't get stabbed. He gets something taken out of him, and he is possessed.
Yeah, so but he takes
but nothing is real about it.
But it just looks like a fountain.
But he's possessed, and that's the point. It's supposed to look silly.
I understand that. And
we can't talk about this too much.
I know. I don't want to. Let's not. We'll talk about Evil Dead.
If we get into this now, we're not.
We'll talk about Evil Dead in a few weeks. But Evil Dead Rise comes out, and I'm very excited for it. It looks great.
Yeah, it does.
That's another thing I was impressed with the original. Is I was impressed how actually it was actually kind of scary.
Yeah,
I was really impressed with that. So taking some of the Evil Dead stuff and adding it to a modern movie, I'm very excited for.
Me too.
And then we have
Salem's Lot.
You're very excited for this.
I am. I love the book. I haven't seen the original movie that came out whenever it was, 1980 or something. I don't know.
There's 2 Salem Lots movies.
There are?
The other one might have been made for TV. I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I didn't know there was a second.
Yeah, at least when I looked it up, it said for the third time Salem's Lot is coming to the big screen. So I guess I think
there's a TV show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am so excited. This is literally one of my favorite books and might be my favorite Stephen King novel.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, and we haven't. Do you know what it's about?
No, I don't know.
Do you want to know what it's about?
Not particularly.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to just going in blind to it.
I will say, I feel like there's not a lot of movies about this particular thing. There used to be, but like recently, it's hard to make horror movies based off of this particular entity, we will say.
Interesting.
So I'm super excited about it and excited to see it in theaters.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then for the third movie we get on April 21st is Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Which I am very excited for, nervously.
Yeah.
This is Ari Aster's third movie. And it stars Joaquin Phoenix. So, okay, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
If there was an actor I could pair with Ari Aster, it would probably be Joaquin Phoenix. It might be Mia Goth actually, and then Joaquin.
But she's
Phoenix.
already done so many disturbing things. That's too obvious.
Yeah, but I think they're just like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
If you gave me Mia Goth, Joaquin Phoenix, and Ari Aster, that movie, I don't think I would be able to watch that movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That would be too scary.
Very much looking forward to that. And then in June, we're getting another Stephen King movie.
The Boogeyman. June 2nd.
And you don't know anything about this one?
I literally didn't even know this was a Stephen King.
Do you think it's about the Boogeyman?
Yeah.
I think so too.
What is the Boogeyman?
I mean, Stephen King. Seems like he's having a good year.
I know.
He's getting 2 movies this year. So
I love this man.
I'm looking forward to both of those.
I love this man.
And then you have some homework to do before June. Yeah. Insidious 5 is coming out. Yeah. Comes out June 7th. So I have some homework to do too because I think I've only seen 2 of them. So the original Insidious has one of the best jump scares in it.
Really?
I have ever seen.
I'm excited.
It's phenomenal.
I don't get.
Do you know what it is?
No, I
have you seen anything from it?
I know nothing about Insidious.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch this. Okay. We need to watch for sure the first one together.
Yeah.
Because Insidious was was in that like group of very first horror movies I watched, and this movie is great.
Slay! I'm excited to see it.
And it's James Wan. James Wan makes the first Insidious.
Oh, I was like, how?
Insidious 5. I don't know if James Wan is involved at all.
Okay.
I don't know his name. The guy who plays Ed in The Conjuring.
I have no idea.
He's the main guy in The Conjuring.
I have no.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes,
though, right?
I do.
He also stars in Insidious. He is directing Insidious 5.
Whoa,
so I don't know if he's directed before. I'll have to look into that.
Okay,
but
yeah.
and I'm sure he's in it too.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
I don't know. I haven't seen the other ones, so I don't know if he's alive
KO'd,
or not. But,
yeah.
yeah, Insidious 5, June 7th.
Yeah.
Excited for that.
And then next, on September 8th, The Nun 2.
This didn't need a sequel.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
It's not good.
I've heard it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I did fall asleep during it, so...
Luke, you can't complain about a movie if you haven't seen the whole thing.
I have seen most of it.
You also can't say you've seen the movie if you haven't seen the whole thing.
What I've seen from the movie is not good. And it has horrible reviews.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a terrible movie apparently, but you can't say anything about.
I can say whatever I want. I live in America.
Okay, sorry.
It's a free country.
I'm sorry. You're right. You can say whatever you want.
It is generally accepted as a bad movie.
However,
I will probably watch it again before I go see The Nun 2, though.
Okay, yeah.
Then we're getting the remake for The Exorcist, October 13th.
I did not know this was a thing.
I didn't know until recently.
This whole segment of the podcast is basically just me saying I didn't know.
I've watched 44 movies. Wait, hold up. Did I say The Exorcist?
I don't know.
I rewatched The Exorcist this year.
I've watched 44 movies.
Stop.
I've watched 44 movies.
It's not in here. I don't think, honestly, I might have watched more than 44.
Someone sounds like a liar. Someone sounds like he's trying to get his numbers up.
No.
If it's not tracked, it doesn't count because there's no way for you to know if you actually watched it
We talked about it on the podcast.
Show me the receipts. If you can find us talking about it on the podcast, then I will allow it. But if it's not recorded anywhere...
It is recorded because I rated it in Letterboxd. And Letterboxd does give me the date. But it's not... So I've been trying to add the movies to the diary in Letterboxd. But I forget to do that sometimes. Because you got to push...
I do the same thing
this screen button to get it in your diary.
I know.
But if you just search for it and add it, it doesn't go in.
Yeah.
So there were several movies that I
knew
that I saw and I had to go back and...
iPhone app is different.
Like re-add them to the diary. But... yeah, I'm skeptical. I really hope it's good. I'm honestly so...
I have seen the original. I don't know if I've seen it or not at this point. I don't remember anything about it. I think I've seen it, but I don't remember anything about it.
I was really impressed. I watched it again. I haven't seen it since I was like 13.
Yeah.
And I watched it again this year, and I'm
just really not into like demonic type stuff. That's the thing.
I understand that, and I'm kind of exhausted on it. Like,
really,
I feel like around the time The Conjuring came out, it was like the thing.
Absolutely.
Every movie was just a demon movie. Kind of like how in the early 2000s everything was just bad slasher. Like we got on this like demon kick for horror, and I'm just like kind of done with demon stuff in movies, you know. It seems so tired to me. Like it's happened so many times. Like every single time the demon is way too powerful and is throwing people across the room and somehow loses still. So I don't know. I hope it's good.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to it, but I am for sure skeptical.
Next on the list,
Saw
10.
Why are we doing this?
Coming out October 27th.
Why is this happening?
I don't know. There is no movie franchise that should have 10 movies.
Why did we need a 10th movie? Scream? What are you going to say about Scream 10? What if Scream 10 is your favorite horror movie?
I want them to be done.
You said you don't want them to be done.
I said one more movie. I said one more movie. I think it's just... If you go on for...
I really hope we don't get to 10 movies.
For Scream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Movies is a lot.
Oh my gosh. Talk about beating a dead horse. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Also, Saw 10.
I know.
They could have stopped 7 movies ago.
They could have stopped 9 movies ago.
That's so true.
The original Saw did not need a remake.
No, the second and third one are fine. The first one isn't very good. The second and third one are better.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, so I've only seen the first one, but watching the first one, I didn't go out of that movie going, man, I really need a sequel to this, you know?
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like,
So
why? Like, it just gets worse and worse.
We
and
might have to do
more and more gory.
We might have to do a Saw marathon leading up to this one.
Sawmathon. Sawmathon.
Nope, we're not doing that. And then our final movie is
The Strangers,
which we don't have a date for
TBA.
yet. But they're remaking The Strangers, which I'm excited for. I understand that it's not like a super great movie, but I love the original Strangers.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
I've heard it's very like, if you're not into horror movies, that's the one you watch.
Yeah, I could see that. It's definitely not the one I would recommend, but it's not. It wouldn't be a bad first horror movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It would definitely. I feel like it's kind of sink or swim though, because it's not a very good movie.
Yeah.
I think the best movie for someone who is being introduced to horror is Scream.
Oh yeah.
Because it's a great movie in general, even if you don't like horror, and it still has the regular horror tropes. It's still a slasher. It's still there's still the jump scares. Yeah. There's still some suspense to it. It's still cheesy, but like overall, I think that is literally the perfect movie to introduce somebody to horror with.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll talk about that in a future episode.
Yes, we will.
Much more. That's all I've got.
Yeah. Short episode.
It's been a fun year.
It hasn't been. Yeah, it has been. We'll see. We'll talk about this again in like 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, not this
so we're gonna
exact
do somewhat of an update every 3 months.
Yeah.
In terms of how many movies we've watched, and then maybe we'll do like a shorter recap on what we've watched. But for the most part, we cover everything in the podcast.
Yeah.
I've just watched so much recently that it felt
same.
I felt like we couldn't really do a main topic and talk about everything that I've watched. So I think this was a good little
absolutely good little break from.
This is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And next week we'll talk about Psycho.
Be there or be
hopefully
square.
We can find Psycho 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you know where to find Psycho 4, comment below.
I think it's just not available in our region on anything. So we need to get like a VPN or something.
Maybe we'll need to check other regions and VPN it.
That's what I'm saying. Because I know it's on Prime, but it's not available in our region.
Right.
So it's like.
So we gotta.
That's the only one I have to watch.
If you know where Psycho 4 is in another region,
drop it down in the comments.
So that way because I'd like to talk about all 5 movies, the 4 that are the same story, and then the reboot.
Yeah. Remake. Oh, reboot.
But
sorry.
I'm
so sorry. I did not need to correct you on that.
Not at all.
I don't like it when people say reboot for some reason.
Why?
Because it's a remake. That's why. This is an old argument. We don't need to get into this.
Wait, so what's the difference between a reboot and a remake?
There's no difference.
But is there?
I don't think so. I don't know. I feel like a reboot is like, here's what a reboot is. It usually, to me, it seems like it's like that story has been long gone, so it just like is a continuation. It like brings it back into circulation.
I think you're onto something. I think there actually is a difference. I think a reboot would be like Disney coming out and saying, we're not making any more Marvel movies. This is it. We're done. And then 5 years from now, they're like, we're restarting the MCU.
Or like,
we're rebooting the franchise.
Every time.
But a remake is more of.
Every time
Go ahead.
There's like a Disney Channel original show that ends, and then like now 20 years later, they're like, we're rebooting Boy Meets World, and it's Girl Meets World now. Like that kind of thing. I don't think that's a perfect like.
Aren't those prequels though?
No, they're called reboots technically.
Okay, none of the same characters.
It's the same characters.
Then that's a requel. Like iCarly.
Yeah.
You know how they did
that's a reboot
to Paramount Plus?
That's a reboot.
No, it's a requel.
That's a reboot.
You need to rewatch Scream 5. A requel is when they.
Oh, interesting. Another thing about Scream 5 that's not right. You're making me.
Not true. No, a requel is when it's in between a reboot and a sequel. They still have the legacy characters, but they've added new ones. What are you doing? Are you looking this up?
I'm not telling you.
Okay.
If I'm right, yes, I'm looking it up. If I'm wrong, no, I'm not. Oh. This is about computers.
Okay, I don't think there's any official definitions on this. I think we're just breaking new ground here.
No. All of this is about computers. Oh, wait. An act or instance of making a change in order to establish a new beginning.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Okay, there's three terms here.
To start something again or do something again. There's three
terms here I'm going to throw out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that all of them they're all like derivatives of the same exact thing. Okay. But it's like they have more, it's like in, this is such a tangent.
I know. Like, we were like about to close the podcast and here we are.
The original Greek, there's like 10 words for love. Okay.
Yes.
But they all mean love. Okay.
Yes.
So we have reboot or remake, whatever you want to put up there. And then we have three derivatives. We have remake, reboot, requel. Okay.
Here's the thing.
Let me give my definitions.
Okay.
A reboot is we're starting over. We're not taking anything from the old.
That's not what that's not what the definition
says. Yes, it is.
No, it says to start something again.
Exactly.
Or to do something again.
Right.
It's it's like a continuation.
No,
to start something
what's
again.
The difference between a sequel and a reboot?
Have you lost your mind?
Have you lost your...
A sequel does not...
No.
Listen, a sequel is like the baby of the first one. It's like, I'm not the reboot. Listen, I'm not the reboot of my parents, but I am the sequel. You understand?
No.
Because it's like, a sequel cannot happen without the thing that came before it. A reboot technically could. It's like starting the story, but just further down the line.
Okay, but that's not necessarily what a reboot is.
But that's what this says. That's what the internet says, and the internet never lies.
What is your source?
Dictionary.com, I'm pretty sure.
Because you had to scroll through.
Stop. The dictionary. Dictionary.com. Merriam-Webster.
And what does it say?
I just
word
quoted
for word. Read
word
it
for
to
word.
me.
It says this one, dictionary.com, says an act or instance of making a change in order to establish a new beginning. Cambridge Dictionary says to start something again or do something again in a way that is new and interesting.
Okay, so, but there's two ways you can interpret that. You can interpret that as, listen.
I'm listening.
You can interpret the remake of Psycho as a reboot.
What? No.
Yes, you could.
Absolutely not.
Because they're starting it again differently.
You haven't seen the remake. You can't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me give me a different example. Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
No, but that's not...
I do understand what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is we have three terms, and although they all sort of mean the same thing, I'm saying that whatever the definition says, it makes more sense if you do it this way.
Yeah.
A remake...
I mean, it makes more sense to you. It does not make more sense to me.
You haven't heard my definitions!
Well, I'm sorry. But the fact that we're arguing means that it doesn't make more sense to me.
You haven't let me say my definitions.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, I'm just... do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
But this is a new point that I haven't been able to make yet.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. A remake is when you're going back to the original story and you're just redoing it. Might be a little different, could be shot for shot, but it's basically the same story. A reboot is when you take everything and you throw it away. None of that is affecting this movie. We're starting over. That's the same thing.
Like Suspiria, the two Suspirias?
Yes.
Or like My Bloody Valentine?
Correct. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say.
I see what
That's
you're
what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying the same thing.
Wait.
So Suspiria...
Is this not what I've been saying?
No.
What have I been saying?
Suspiria is a reboot.
Yeah.
Okay. A remake would be like A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Technically, they're remakes. But when you really think about, like, when you watch the movie, like, you can't say that the Psycho remake is a reboot because you haven't seen it.
So that's a bad example.
So it's like you have to watch it to specify what it is.
Right, exactly. But, like, for instance, A Nightmare on Elm Street, which I have seen the new one for, it is literally just, it's the very first people that encounter Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if it's Nancy necessarily, but it's...
What?
What are you talking about?
The sequel?
No, the new one. The one that was made in like 2000 something.
What?
You haven't seen that one?
There's a remake?
Yeah, it's awful.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's a remake.
That's what.
So they're taking the same story, but they're just changing a few things. Suspiria is a reboot where they're taking basically nothing from the original, maybe a few things, but it's an entirely new story.
It's a remake, but it's a reboot.
I'm making
at the beginning of the movie it's a remake, but by the end it's a reboot.
There's different things.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay? So remake and reboot, although you could use them interchangeably, it makes more sense if you don't use them interchangeably. That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
And then you have requel, which is in between a remake and a sequel. Or, sorry, not a remake, a reboot and a sequel, where you introduce your new characters with the new storyline, but the old movies are still canon, and you still have legacy characters involved, which is what Scream 5 was.
But then it's not the same characters. You just said it uses none of the same characters, but there's legacy characters.
Right, because it's in between a reboot and a sequel. Instead of just doing a full reboot, you're rebooting the franchise without erasing everything.
Yeah.
Which is why it's a requel.
Okay.
It's a sequel and a reboot.
Okay.
Put together.
Okay.
That is now law. I've established.
That's now law.
And if you ever use one of the terms wrong, you're done.
You're canceled. We're going to personally cancel you. We'll hear it. Don't you worry.
Well, that was a conversation that didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
If you're still here,
Slay!
not sure why. Thanks, but that's it.
Yeah.
Drop us a like. Hit that subscribe button.
See you next week.
According to YouTube analytics, 50% of you are not subscribed. So scroll down, hit that subscribe button, click the bell. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.
Bye-bye. Slay.